Hello and welcome to the Hill and Ponton video blog. I'm Matthew Hill. This is Carol Ponton. We'd like to talk to you today about service connecting PTSD. There's a lot that goes into the service connecting component for PTSD. We're not really going to touch on the rating, but we just want to focus on how you get the VA to recognize that your PTSD is related to your service. There are two different main ways to do this. You've got what's called direct service connection and then presumptive. With direct service connection, you have to show that something in service happened, that you have a current diagnosis of PTSD, and that incident in service, that stressor, caused your PTSD. For years, proving the stressor was the bane of Vietnam veterans' existence, frankly. They weren't able to show that their PTSD was related to service because they could never prove their stressor. The VA has taken that away now for military, what do they call it, fear of hostile military action or activity, that helps all veterans who are in a war zone. And that's a presumptive way now. So if you were in a war zone and the VA can say that you had fear of military hostile activity, then you do not have to show that you had a stressor. You don't have to go prove a stressor. Now going back to direct service connection, what does it mean to prove a stressor? To prove a stressor, you have to have independent evidence of your own word. So if you were hit by a car accident, if you have a police report showing that you were in the accident, that would be independent verification. If you got into a fight and you have a friend fill out a buddy statement that you were in the fight and it occurred and you got hurt, that would be verification. So that's how you show direct service connection. Back to the presumptive, this has made combat veterans' lives a lot easier, in that they don't have to go out and find a buddy, find an after-action report of what happened to them while they were in a battle. Now what they just have to do is show that their PTSD, their mental illness, is related to that battle, is related to what happened in service. But of course, there are roadblocks on all of these.
We are dealing with the VA.
Exactly. One of the roadblocks I see is, again, I spoke to this, proving your stressor. The car accident, if it was 30 years ago, it might be hard to find a police report. The people that you were with, you might not longer know, or they might now be deceased. Those can all be problems in showing direct service connection. The theme or the reoccurrence I keep seeing on veterans who are in a war zone, where they have the presumption that a stressor happened, again and again, I see where veterans are either don't meet the criteria for PTSD or diagnosed
According to the
else.
VA, yes.
Exactly.
The VA has a list of 7 things that you have to show, and there's 7 different criteria. If you meet all except one, you don't have PTSD according to them. And one of the problems is when the veteran goes in to have his compensation and pension exam, a lot of times you're talking about the thing that may be bothering you the most right now, and you may forget that you get angry without any reason. You may forget that you are hypervigilant. You may not even think to tell the person, I get up and check the locks. When I go someplace, I have to sit with my back to the door. You may forget, I can't be around people. I don't have any emotional attachment. I don't have nightmares. There's so many things that each of these criteria address that you have to name one in each criteria in order to meet their diagnosis.
And you're not told what the criteria is. And,
No.
and a lot of times it's even more deceiving than that, because most of the veterans we work with treat for their health care at the VA. And so we see veterans who are diagnosed by their own VA doctors with PTSD. And then for a compensation and pension exam, they go in and their doctor says, no, you don't have PTSD. And by their doctor, I mean the VA benefits section.
The examiner. And this would be despite the fact that the veteran has complained of each one of these criteria to his own VA doctor.
And so that is a big problem we're seeing, the veteran's not meeting all the criteria. And the VA benefits section always takes the word of the compensation doctor and not the VA treating doctor.
Right.
So when you go to an exam for your PTSD, you have to realize you need to talk about everything that's going on. You have to assume that the doctor you're seeing is not going to give any weight to your treating doctors. Or I just had a case where the veteran was denied service connection for PTSD, and he was in a VA a VA clinic, inpatient hospital for PTSD for 30 days. But the VA would not recognize that. The other thing we see on that is the VA misdiagnosing the veteran, or saying, no, you don't have PTSD, you have alcohol abuse, or you're feigning your symptoms. They like to use these tests that say, oh, the veteran is overreacting. He couldn't have had this bad of an experience. It's almost a slap in the face to the veterans we see.
It is a slap in the face.
And it's a big problem, because the VA says, well, you're now a malingerer, and that's what they're labeled with. And if the veteran didn't have enough problems already dealing with the disability that the government gave them, now they're called a liar on top of it. It's really pathetic some of the times.
It's very infuriating. It's not pathetic. But you need to know that we can get beyond this, that we see these cases all the time, and don't leave it where it is. Please file an appeal. Please pursue this, because you're entitled to these benefits, and if you keep appealing, if you get the evidence in the right way, you're going to win, and you should win.
And that's a great point that Carol makes. Unfortunately, the way the system is set up, it's always easier for the VA to deny than to grant you benefits.
Yes.
One person can always deny you the benefits. To grant you benefits, sometimes it can take 2-3 people to actually all sign off on your benefits. So, as Carol says, keep appealing. Don't just sit on the denial and think the government's right. You are entitled to these benefits. Figure
out what it is that made them deny you, so that you know how to. Sometimes veterans just file an appeal, and they don't give the VA what they're asking for. For instance, in this one case that I just reviewed, the veteran needed to talk about one of the A through F criteria. That's what they were missing. The veteran,
in his defense, the VA doesn't make it clear.
No, he didn't know, but that's why, if you know why you've been denied, it's easier to win.
So this is our discussion on PTSD and service connection. Stay tuned. We will be doing a video soon on PTSD and rating. Thank you.